Making the headlines tonight. Prime Minister Hun Sen expresses his views on the Russian-Ukraine war and says although NATO has been directly involved, NATO is one of Ukraine's supporters. Prime Minister Hun Sen issues a congratulatory message on the occasion of the National Day of Clean Cities and announces the launch of the Clean Cambodia campaign. Russian President Vladimir Putin orders his military commando to put Russia's nuclear defence force in high alert. FIFA says no international soccer matches will be played in Russia and the Russian flag and anthem will be banned from any of their matches abroad. And Niagara Falls is eliminated in blue and yellow solidarity with Ukraine. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Anthony Ellis. Prime Minister Hun Sen expressed his views on the Russian-Ukraine war, saying although NATO has not been directly involved in the war between the two countries on Ukraine territory, NATO is one of the Ukraine supporters. He's expressed his view on Sunday through the postal official Facebook page. EAC News reporter Darshana Goshen has more.
The Prime Minister wrote saying NATO is not directly involved in this war, but NATO supports Ukraine. He has further stated that he understands it is not possible to use war to end war, so finding a negotiated solution is the best way to end the conflict. On Sunday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky agreed to send a delegation to negotiate and hold talks with Russia at the Ukraine-Belarus border after Zelensky met with Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Zelensky wrote on his Facebook page, the result of a conversation with Alexander Lukashenko. We have agreed that the Ukrainian delegation will meet with Russia without preconditions on the Ukraine-Belarus border on the Pripyat River. According to Zelensky, the president of Belarus has promised that all aircraft, including helicopters and missiles placed on Belarusian territory, will be inactive when the delegation arrive for the talks and then return to their respective territories. Negotiations between Ukraine and Russia were initially scheduled for Friday, but Ukraine refused to take part. In response to Ukraine's refusal, Russia stepped up its military action on Saturday. NATO allies also increased support and assistance to Ukraine on Sunday, including the provision of thousands of anti-tank weapons, hundreds of anti-aircraft missiles, and thousands of small arms and ammunition. Ukraine is also utilizing millions of euros in financial and humanitarian aid and medical supplies to help Ukrainian forces. Darshana Goshen, EAC News.
The use of nuclear bombs for war cannot end the world like World War II. This is a response that Prime Minister Hun Sen gave to the citizen who commented about the World War II on his Facebook post about the Russia-Ukraine war. EAC News reporter Deccan Nin has more details.
The Prime Minister wrote, if this is to be done, not just one country will be hit by a nuclear bomb, but most European countries, as well as the United States and Russia, will be hit by a nuclear bomb, and the war will not end. It could spark World War III. On Sunday, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered his troops to be ready to take command, including putting the Russian military's nuclear deterrent forces on high alert. World War II ended after the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, forcing Japan to lay down its arms and surrender on September 2, 1945, bringing an end to the Second World War. Due to the destructive effects of nuclear weapons, many developed countries have started to produce and develop their own. The world currently has more than 10,000 nuclear weapons, owned by the United States, Russia, Britain, France, China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and Israel. Dekanin, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen, the Honourable Chairman of the National Committee of the Clean City Assessment, issued a congratulatory message on the occasion of the National Day of Clean Cities under the theme Clean Cities Supporting Tourism Cambodia, accompanied by the announcement of Clean Cambodia campaign towards welcoming the SEA Games in 2023. EAC News reporter Darshana Goshen has the story.
Monday, 28th February marks the 10th National Clean City Day, celebrated under the theme Clean City Supporting the Reopening of Cambodian Tourism, and is accompanied by the announcement of the Clean Cambodia campaign to welcome the 2023 Southeast Asian Games and the ASEAN Para Games. The purpose of this campaign is to demonstrate the importance of urban cleanliness. In response to the theme of the National Clean City Day 2022, Prime Minister Hun Sen has set out 4 priority tasks, the first being the implementation of set rules, including tourism safety rules and minimum operating procedures for tourism services in line with the new normal path and measures of the royal government in order to continue preventing the spread of COVID-19 and restoring confidence and trust in all production lines in the tourism sector so that they will be ready to welcome tourists and participants for the 2023 Southeast Asian Games and ASEAN Para Games. These major events require the organization of capital and provincial competition campaigns with outstanding achievements in the implementation of tourism safety rules. The second priority task concerns the contribution to the restoration of tourism by endorsing the implementation of the royal government's strategic plans, which have been set out to revive tourism through the roadmap on the plan to restore and promote tourism in and after the COVID-19 crisis, with policy measures to promote domestic tourism and movement between 2021 to 2023, and a strategic plan on the opening of vaccinated tourism. The third priority is the promotion of the honor and image of Cambodia through the influence of the 2023 Southeast Asian Games and ASEAN Para Games by launching social education campaigns and promoting the Clean Cambodia campaign. The fourth priority is to adhere to the new normal, in particular the habit of living with cleanliness and hygiene, along with the continued implementation of the royal government's set health rules and regulations to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. Cleanliness has become a key approach and necessity for promoting Cambodia's tourism recovery in and after the COVID-19 crisis, and its readiness to host the 2023 Southeast Asian Games and ASEAN Para Games. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
Kep has been declared as the first mine-free province in Cambodia. While the capital city of Phnom Penh and 7 other provinces are also expected to be announced as mine-free within 2022. EAC News reporter Decca Nin has the details.
Speaking at a ceremony on Monday, February 28th, the first deputy chairman of the Cambodian Mine Action and Victim Assistance Authority and representative of Prime Minister Hun Sen, Senior Minister Lee Tut, declared Kaip province as the first province to be mine-free in the country. He said that in 2021, Prime Minister Hun Sen selected the least affected Kaip province to be cleared and declared as the first demining province, with the financial support of Norway and Hungary, and chose the Cambodian Mine Action Center (CMAC) as the primary deminers. The senior minister thanked the government of Norway, the government of Hungary, and CMAC for providing financial and technical support to end the presence of landmines in Kaip. He also thanked the development partners, allies, and other national and international operators who have joined the royal government of Cambodia in providing technical, material, and financial support for humanitarian mine action in Cambodia. Cambodia has been plagued by chronic wars since the 1960s, both with landmines and unexploded ordnances, he said at the ceremony. He continued to explain that a demining village or a demining province is not a village or a province without other unexploded ordnances, such as bombs dropped from the planes, cluster munitions, and other kinds of unexploded ordnances. Kaip province is now free of mines but not yet from unexploded ordnance from the war, so he urged everyone to continue being careful and continue taking measures to solve and respond to the problem of unexploded ordnances in a timely and effective manner. According to Senior Minister Lee Tut, Cambodia plans to declare 7 more capitals and provinces to be mine-free in 2022, including Prey Veng, Kandal, Phnom Penh, Kampong Cham, Sihanoukville, Ratanakiri, and the Kaip provinces. Kaip Provincial Governor Saompit said that Kaip was a hotbed of fighting between government forces and the Khmer Rouge, especially in the Phnom War region, one of the hottest areas of Cambodia. After the end of the war, some areas were left with many landmines and unexploded ordnance, resulting in 221 casualties from landmine and explosive remnants of war by 2021, of which 198 were in Namnak Chang Ao district and 23 were from Kaip. Additionally, 92% of these casualties were affected by landmines. Heng Ratana, the Director General of the Cambodian Mine Action Center, said that Kaip has a total of 27 minefields with a total area of more than 4 million square meters, which the unit has cleared twice since 1995. Additionally, the mines most found in this province were anti-personnel mines. The director said CMAC has deployed forces to clear the area and has kept a record of the anti-personnel landmines found in Gai province. Both times during clearing, more than 700 anti-personnel mines and more than 600 unexploded ordnance were found. Since deciding to liberate Gai from this threat, anti-personnel mines are now 100% cleared. So Gai has no more record of anti-personnel mines in the national database. Thus, it becomes a mine-free province. The charge d'affaires of the Hungarian embassy in Cambodia, István Bakos, said that as a member of the Ottawa Convention, Hungary can no longer see its members continue to suffer from landmines, so the Hungarian government is especially involved in assisting Cambodia. He said, "We cannot stand by and see landmines taking new victims, preventing families to grow crops or children to go to school safely." He continued, "Mine clearance is a prerequisite to investment in infrastructure and sustainable development, both at local and national level. Being safe from landmines would also allow us to fully benefit from the opportunities this fascinating country offers to tourism." Nikanin, EAC News.
The General Commissioner of National Police has issued a press release stating that it found a case involving the detainment of a Chinese man as a slave to sell blood to be fabricated in order the Chinese man and his party to avoid repercussions from illegally crossing the border to enter Cambodia. EAC News reporter Slepor Kong has more.
According to the press release issued by the General Commission of the National Police on Monday, after Specialized Unit conducted an urgent investigation into this case, including inspecting several relevant locations and identifying witnesses after a number of media outlets and social media sites reported on the race of Chinese national as blood-selling slave in Sihanoukville, Chinatown area, the case was found to be a fabricated lie. The unit found that it was fabricated information organized by Lia Yuanlun, a 31-year-old Chinese man who was being treated at Bithun Hospital, Cambodia, China, Phnom Penh. The three other people involved. According to the statement, Lia Yuanlun claimed to be the victim. In fact, he had been smuggled into Cambodia illegally, but due to a physical illness, he had to contact a group of people to help him find a way to get out of this predicament. Currently, Lia Yuanlun and the three people involved, including one woman, have been detained by the authority to build a case to be sent to court for legal action. The General Commission of the National Police has called on media outlets and social media sites to revise the publication of the above fabricated information to avoid confusion from the national and international public. Srepokong, EAC News.
Cambodia has reported 356 new COVID-19 cases, including 14 which are imported. There have been 419 patient recoveries and 0 deaths. The total of Omicron case nears 10,000, and Cambodia records a 24th day of triple-digit cases. The Kingdom recorded 342 new community and 14 new imported cases of the new variant, meaning that Cambodia has now recorded 9,835 cases of Omicron, 879 imported, and 8,956 community cases. The Kingdom COVID-19 tally has now climbed up to 130,276. The death toll stands at 3,032. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 123,772, and the tally is imported cases has climbed up to 20,736. Healthcare workers are now currently treated a total of 3,396 patients. Now a look at the news making international headlines this Monday, 28th of February.
Russian missiles have hit the Ukrainian town of Vasilkiv, southwest of the capital Kyiv, setting an oil terminal ablaze, the town's mayor has said on Sunday, February 27th. Authorities have warned residents to be on alert for toxic fumes. Also on Sunday morning, Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine's Luhansk province have said an oil terminal was blown up by a Ukrainian missile in the town of Rovenki.
A footage released on social media by the Chief of Command of Armed Forces, Valery Zuzulny, on Sunday, February the 27th, appears to show Russian missile systems being destroyed by a drone. Zuzulny says a Turkish-made Bayraktar drone was used to destroy the Russian machinery in the area of the city of Maryland in the Zamator region. At least 352 civilians, including 14 children, have been killed and 1,684 people have been wounded since the fighting began, while the numbers of killed and wounded Ukrainian and Russian soldiers is unknown.
A severe storm system has pummeled Australia's northeastern city of Brisbane on Sunday, causing evacuations, power outages, and school closures as the death toll has climbed to 7 from accompanying flash floods. 6 people have died in the Queensland flooding so far, including the late Saturday's death of a 34-year-old man who tried to swim to safety when his car became submerged in flood waters. More than 1,400 homes in the capital of Queensland state were at risk of flooding, while more than 28,000 homes were without power statewide, as pristine beaches on the Gold and Sunshine coasts, which are key tourist attractions, all closed.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered Sunday, February 27th, his military command to put Russia's defence forces and reference to units which include nuclear arms on high alert, citing aggressive statements by NATO leaders and economic sanctions against Moscow.
Russia's Vladimir Putin signals escalation as he puts Russia's nuclear forces on high alert. Putin says not only do Western countries take unfriendly measures against Russia in an economic dimension, mentioning the recent sanctions, but he says the top officials of leading NATO countries have also made aggressive statements about his country, Russia. Putin explained that this is why he has ordered the defense minister and chief of the general staff to put the Russian army's nuclear deterrence forces on high combat alert. The United States has said Putin was escalating the war with dangerous rhetoric, amid signs that the biggest assault on a European state since World War II was not producing rapid victories, but instead generating a far-reaching and concerted Western response. Less than 4 days after it started, the invasion has triggered a Western political, strategic, economic, and corporate response unprecedented in its extent and coordination. With this war on Ukraine, the world will never be the same again, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell has stated. Borrell added that it is now more than ever the time for societies and alliances to come together to build the future on trust, justice, and freedom. It is the moment to stand up and to speak out. The 27-nation European Union on Sunday decided for the first time in its history to supply weapons to a country at war. It would send 450 million euros, roughly $507 million, of weaponry to Ukraine. Borrell at a news conference also said the EU's support would include providing fighter jets. The European Union's chief executive, Ursula von der Leyen, has expressed support for Ukraine's membership in an interview with Euronews, saying they are one of us. Ukraine, a democratic nation of 44 million people, won independence from Moscow in 1991 at the fall of the Soviet Union and has pushed to join the NATO Western Military Alliance and the EU, both goals which Russia vehemently opposes.
The United Nations Security Council on Sunday, February 27th, have called for a rare emergency special meeting for 193 member General Assembly on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which will be held on Monday the 28th, for a briefing on humanitarian needs and civilians in Ukraine, requested by France, United States, Britain, Norway, Albania, Ireland, and Mexico. It will be the 5th meeting for the Council of Ukraine in the past weeks as the Western allies step up the diplomatic campaign to isolate Moscow. US Ambassador for the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield says for the first time in decades, the Security Council has called for an emergency special session in the General Assembly. The Council members who have supported the resolution have recognised that this is no ordinary movement. Members have need to take extraordinary actions to meet this threat in the international system and do everything they can to help Ukraine and its people. The United States envoy to the United Nations have urged Russia to tone down its dangerous rhetoric regarding nuclear weapons.
It is extremely alarming that the Russian president has resorted today to open nuclear blackmail. The world must take this threat very seriously.
Well, first of all, we sincerely believe that the Russian atrocities in Ukraine mount to violation of many, many international treaties, including the one that we cite when we sent our request to the court.
The vote by the 15-member council was procedural, so Russia could not word its veto. A resolution convening the General Assembly session was adopted with 11 yes votes. Russia voted no, while China, India and United Arab Emirates have abstained. The move is the latest in a flurry of diplomacy at the United Nations in New York. It follows a Russian veto on Friday of the draft council resolution that would have deplored Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. China, India and United Arab Emirates have abstained and the remaining 11 members voted yes. The General Assembly is expected to vote on a similar resolution as soon as Wednesday. US Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield has announced during the meet to the press on Sunday, no country has a veto in the General Assembly. While General Assembly resolutions are non-binding, they carry political weight. The United States and allies see action and United Nations as a chance to show Russia it is isolated because of the invasion of the neighbouring Ukraine. They'll be looking to improve on the 100 countries to vote in favour of the General Assembly resolution in March 2014 after Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimea region. The resolution declared invalid referendum on the status of Crimea. The vote will become at the end of emergency special session. It will be only the 11th such General Assembly sessions convened since 1950. Russia would be in a position to block the move if it chooses. It is the Council veto power along with the United States, France, Britain and China. The world's largest cargo plane, the Ukrainian-made Antov 225 Mora, has been burnt by the Russian attack on Homstar Airport near Kiev. Ukrainian state arms manufacturer Ukroboronprom has said on Sunday.
Russian occupiers have destroyed the flagship of Ukrainian aviation, the legendary AN-225 Maria. It happened at the Antonov airfield in Hostomel, near Kiev, Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs confirmed in a Facebook post. Ukrainian state arms manufacturer Ukroboronprom has said that the plane restoration would cost more than $3 billion and would take a very long time. Foreign Affairs Minister Dmytro Kuleba has said that Russia may have destroyed our Maria, but we shall prevail. Maria, which means dream in Ukrainian, was built during the time of the Soviet Union in 1988 as an attempt at building a space shuttle called Buran. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Buran program was shut down and the plane was left on the territory of independent Ukraine.
After the break, let's look at all the latest sports news.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
តើលោកអ្នកចិត្តរៀបអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍មែនទេហើយពិបាករកក្រុមហ៊ុនថតវីដេអូផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ដែលមានគុណភាពមែនទេអស់កង្វល់រ៉ាទីកាជាក្រុមហ៊ុនទទួលស្គាល់លំដាប់អន្តរជាតិលើសេវាកម្មថតផ្សាយផ្ទាល់គ្រប់កម្មវិធីកម្រិត 4K ដំបូងបង្អស់នៅកម្ពុជារ៉ាទីកាប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ទំនើបម៉ាកល្បីធានាគុណភាពការផលិតតាមបច្ចេកវិទ្យាទាន់សម័យរ៉ាទីកានឹងជួយធ្វើឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអស្ចារ្យលោកអ្នកនឹងបានឃើញរាល់សកម្មភាពក្នុងពិធីទៅលើកញ្ចក់ទូរទស្សន៍ទំហំធំកម្រិត 4K និងការបញ្ចាំងលើផ្ទាំងក្រណាត់សព្រមទាំង LED ដែលមានរូបភាពច្បាស់ត្រជាក់ភ្នែកសូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ012 823 848 017 838 889និង016 823 848រ៉ាហ្វីកាទំនុកចិត្តការទទួលខុសត្រូវនិងគុណភាពខ្ពស់
No international soccer matches will be played in Russia, and the Russian flag and anthem will be banned from any of the matches abroad, governing body FIFA has said Sunday, February the 27th. FIFA said on Sunday that Russia can continue to play matches, albeit on natural venues and only under the name Football Union of Russia, but warned that the country could be excluded from competitions if the situation in Ukraine does not improve. The announcements, which FIFA called immediate first measures, were however swiftly criticised in insubordination by a head of Polish Football Association. Russia is scheduled to host Poland in the semi-finals of its strand of the World Cup playoffs on March 24th, and if the team advances, it is scheduled to host either Sweden or Czech Republic on March 29th in the Path B final. Poland has said it would not play its Soccer World Cup qualifier against Russia next month following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Polish Football Association chief Sergej Kalazas criticised the FIFA stance and called the Russia to be expelled from the World Cup. Russian footballers and fans are not responsible for this, but we can't pretend that there's nothing happening. Today's FIFA decision is totally unacceptable. We are not interested in participating in this game of appearances. Our stance remains intact. Polish national team will not play with Russia, no matter what the name of the team is, he wrote on Twitter. If FIFA's human rights policy is more than just words on paper, now is the time to put it into effect, excluding the Russian Football Association from qualifying for the Qatar World Cup in 2022, he added in a statement. FIFA did not immediately respond to the request of comment of Poland's comment. FIFA is starting to feel the pressure from teams around the world standing beside Ukraine, refusing to play Russia. FIFA is not the only sporting code that has refused to play in Russia. One of Brazil's biggest derby matches was cancelled shortly after kick-off on Saturday, February the 26th. after the players from Gremio were hurt when fans attacked their team bus on the way to the game, the city rivals International.
The match between the two main clubs in Porto Alegre is known as the Grenal, but Gremio withdrew from the match at Inter's Beira Rio Stadium after rocks smashed through coach windows and hurt players. Gremio released footage of midfielder Matias Valasanti being taken to hospital in an ambulance. It also showed footage of smashed windows and a rock bigger than a fist, it said to the Paraguayan player. Gremio and Internacional said they repudiated the violence, adding that 2 suspects had been arrested. Gremio later said Villasanti, who's 25, was being treated for a cerebral concussion and cranial trauma. He was also being treated for lacerations to the face and trauma in his hip and would spend the night in hospital for further observation. No fractures were reported. It was the second time in 3 days that a bus carrying a Brazilian team had been attacked on its way to a game after Bahia players were hit before Thursday night's match against Sampaio Correa in Salvador. The Porto Alegre incident also took place the same night that fans wielding metal bars invaded the pitch and attacked Parana players, forcing the suspension of their game against Unia Beltrao in Curitiba. With around 5 minutes to go in the state championship match, Parana was losing 3-1, a result that doomed them to relegation to the second division. Videos showed angry fans punching players who responded with kung fu kicks as other supporters poured into the field to join the fighting. Both sets of players eventually managed to sprint to the dressing rooms as police fired percussion grenades and forced fans off the pitch.
Ganyu Zhu, who will become China's first Formula One driver when he makes his debut next month, said he is not just a sport just to make up the numbers. The 22-year-old has signed for Alfa Romeo team alongside former Mercedes racer Valtteri Bottas and will become the first driver from the country of 1.4 billion to line up the grid in the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix on March 20th.
You know, I don't want to be in Formula One just for the sake of being here. I want to be here to be proving myself, to be making my country, making all the people support me proud. I want to do well in Formula One. To be that first one is definitely something very important. It's a little bit like Yao Ming for basketball, NBA, that when he shine in the NBA scenario, then you know there's people really into basketball, and basketball became a huge sport back home. So that's what I'm trying to do now.
With a reset because of the new regulations, I feel like there's no limits in a way. We shouldn't put any limits on what is our target, what we can do, what we can't do. So anything is possible, and that is exciting, and that's same for every team. But we as a team take it as an opportunity to make a good jump forward. I feel like it's going to be a bit more equal than it was before, also thanks to the budget cap and the changes in the cars. So I really think it's going to be good for Formula One, and it's going to be fun for the spectators, but fun for drivers and teams as well.
Zhu's love for motorsport began when he attended his home Chinese Grand Prix in Shanghai as a 5-year-old in 2004, the first F1 race in his country. Their fan base in China has grown steadily since, but there is still a huge growth opportunity for the sport in what it sees a key market. Formula One in November extended its contract with the Chinese Grand Prix in 2025. The race will be absent from the calendar for the 3rd year in a row due to the COVID-19 pandemic this season, but the sport has long waited 2 races in the country. Zhu, who was Renault-owned Alpine's test driver last year and a member of the Young Driver Academy, likened by himself to the NBA trailblazer Yao Ming. To be the first one is definitely something very important, he said. It's a little bit like Yao Ming for NBA. When he shined in the NBA scenario, basketball became a huge sport back home. That's what I'm trying to do now. Alfa Romeo become the last of the 10 teams to officially launch their 2022 car. Now let's take a look at the weather and what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, Niagara Falls was illuminated in blue and yellow solidarity in Ukraine on Saturday, the 26th of February. The tourist attraction that saddles the US-Canadian border is one of several landmarks around the world that lit up in the blue and yellow colours of Ukraine flag as a show of unity and support of the Ukraine people.
Niagara Falls and the world's tallest skyscraper illuminated with the colors of the Ukrainian flag. The tourist attraction that straddles the US-Canada border is one of several landmarks around the world lit up in blue and yellow colors of the Ukrainian flag as a show of unity in support of the Ukrainian people following a Russian invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his wife Olena Zelenska have visited Niagara Falls in 2019. Russia calls its actions in Ukraine a special operation that it says is not designed to occupy territory but to destroy its southern neighbor's military capabilities and capture what it regards as dangerous nationalists. In the interim, Canada is committed to using its international assistance to support Ukraine. Since January 2014, Canada has committed more than $890 million in multifaceted support to Ukraine using a range of instruments. These instruments include development, humanitarian and financial assistance, peace and stabilization operation programs, and the Canadian Police Arrangement. In September 2015, Canada has launched Operation Unifear, the Canadian Armed Forces military training and capacity building mission in Ukraine. Currently, the country has deployed approximately 200 CAF personnel to Ukraine under Operation Unifear, which has been extended until March 31, 2022. The CAF have trained more than 12,500 members of Ukraine's security forces since the mission began. Canada has also contributed a senior representative to Ukraine's Defense Reform Advisory Board. This representative provides strategic advice on defense reform to Ukraine's Minister of Defense and senior officials. In addition to contributions through Operation Unifear, the CAF cooperates with the security forces of Ukraine through the Military Training and Cooperation Program. Ukraine is the single largest recipient of training and founding under the MTCP. More than 2,500 military personnel have received training through the MTCP since 1993. Since January 2019, Canada and the United Kingdom share the role of NATO contact point embassy in Kyiv.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram or your favourite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.